Hi there YouTube, welcome back to another review. In this one we're taking a look at another authentic device out of China. It's the SXK RDA. So it's a 22mm dripper. You can pick it up for $22.99, and you know, we're starting to see this now where a lot of the clone manufacturers, whether it be H Pro, Infinite, SXK, Green, have got their own. They're all bringing out authentic devices, and they're all incredibly low priced, so we don't have to go spending daft money now to get a good product. And don't get me wrong, yes, it's from China, but they're not just knocking up a box standard atomizer. They're putting thoughts in the design. I mean, this one, it's kind of like the Cat's RDA, where it pulls the air in from the top down into the chamber, then out through the coils and back up through the drip tip. And it has both an airflow control system that you turn your top cap to use, and then the drip tip also has a flow system where pardon me, I wouldn't say it's for airflow. I think it's more for increasing flavour or getting a warmer vape. But obviously by closing the hole off, you're affecting the airflow as well. So yeah, I mean, it's $22.99 from Angelfiremods.co.uk, and I've currently got it at 0.5 ohms on Sigelli 150 at 50 watts. And I will just say, this isn't an atomizer for cloud chasers. It's definitely a flavour atomizer, because the airflow is very restricted compared to such as like Mutation X or Plume Veil, CLT, V2 or V2 Plus from Infinite. So yeah, 50 watts on a 0.5 build. And you know, there's not, don't get me wrong, there is plenty of vapour, but the flavour on this is absolutely incredible. And the finish, you know, for your money, the finish is incredible. There are a couple of things that I would like to see done a bit different, which I'll show you in the up close, but overall it's really good. So we're just going to go down into the up close, and I'll show you all the ins and outs and what you get in the package, and we'll chuck a build on there. So I'll see you down at the table. Okay then, so the SXK atomizer, when you receive it, comes in this brown box. It's quite a nice little box. It says SXK atomizer on the front, some safety logos on either side, and nothing else on the box. It's a jewellery type box, so it's a snap box with, so it's got some foam padding in the top to help protect your atomizer, and then the rest is felt lined. Inside you're going to get your SXK RDA and a bag of spare parts, which consists of an Allen key, sorry about that, you'll get some replacement O-rings, a couple of grub screws, and some rather well made coils. We're not going to be using them, we'll build our own. So that's the spare parts, and then, as I say, the RDA. So from the outside, stainless steel RDA. We've got the laser etched SXK logo. On the bottom we've got nothing, and we've also got the etching on the drip tip. So the 510 is copper and is also adjustable. And if you look underneath, you might notice that the bottom of the deck is actually an oval, so it locates into the sleeve. I'll show you why in a minute. So start from the top, the drip tip. It's quite wide bore, and it's also really long. And if you look, you've got this extended portion with a hole that goes all the way through, and that is what gives you your adjustment for either airflow, or I'd say it's more your vape temperature, probably, you know, to enhance the flavour. It's double O-ring, and it does sit in there really stiff. I don't know if you'll make it out on the camera, but just here there's a little like a keyed part, and that actually sits in a keyed section. I don't know if you can see it just there, so that it gives you your adjustment and, you know, helps you locate where the drip tip goes. One thing you might notice from the outside is there are no external air holes on the barrel, because they're all in the top cap. So if we look underneath the top cap, here and here, and same on the opposite side, just here, there are two holes. So the ring, this ring here, the between, so they drill through that piece, and what they do is they line up with these four holes, and so the air's drawn through the ring there, it's pulled down the holes, and just inside there, just there, and the same on the other side are two holes. So what happens is you take a pull on this, it'll pull the air through the airflow holes in the top cap, down these channels, out to your coil, and back up through your drip tip. Now you'll notice this machine section here, and it also has a key part on the top cap, and when that's in, if you turn it clockwise, one hole is open either side. If you turn it anti-clockwise, it opens both the holes, and there's not, you know, it doesn't move much. It's a few mil to open and close one hole, so that's why it's not an airy draw. And then you'll notice also the 510 hole is not in the top cap there, because the holes there correspond with the drip tip. So well, it serves a couple of purposes, one being that there's no spit back whatsoever, and the other is for the control of the like I say, airflow or vape temperature. And that's the same, you turn it clockwise, it will open it, you turn it anti-clockwise, it will close it fully off. So you've got wide open, or you can adjust it to your own personal preference. Obviously, don't have it close all the way off, you won't be able to vape it. I find that I've been using that either all the way open or in the halfway position. Gives me a really nice flavour. And then we have a single O-ring, and that's the top cap. So then we spoke about the airflow holes, meaning, you know, if this was, say, a Cyclops style hole at the top and bottom, then, you know, it might be a bit airier. But one thing I have noticed is the holes come in, on this one anyway, is the holes that come through down into the bottom of the chamber. On one side they're bigger than what they are on the other, so they've not drilled through the stainless at the same angle, so it means that one side's pulls more airflow than the other. It's not really much of an issue because there isn't much of a difference, but there is enough to notice. And then, I mean, if you just look at the walls, that's how thick the walls are to accommodate the airflow. But you'll notice that that's an oval section, and the build deck is oval, and it's there for a reason. It's there so that it locates only in one place, or two places depending which side, so that your airflow holes will always be in the correct place for the build deck. It's quite a neat idea. I've not seen it done before, and that's what I was saying. That's why, you know, these China Authentics, they're not just a rip-off of another atomizer. There's some thought gone into them, and for the price we're paying, you know, you can't really go wrong. I'd much rather pay $22.99 for this and pay up to 100 quid for something else that's just a regular free post atomizer. So the build deck itself, it's really small. It's like the same sort of size as the Atomic by MCV, and it has, so the negative posts are milled as one part with the deck, and the positive post is a two, so it's a T section, so it's really easy to put dual coils. And as you can see, the post holes are quite large, so it's really you can put thick wire in here, but it will get very warm. And the post screws are small grub screws. I will say I'm not a massive fan. I would have preferred maybe some fatter screws, proper screws with a posi head, but it is what it is. And then the juice well, as you can see, is quite deep. It's hard to measure, so I'm going to do it a bit of a crude way, and that's the depth, which is 4 mil. So we've got a 4 mil juice well down at the bottom, and quite a large square insulator, and then it's double O-ring. I mean, the beauty of this design is no matter how many drops you put in there, it's not going to leak, because that seals so well into the chamber that nothing can come out the bottom. And because you've got the air holes that come from the side and up to the top, you could literally fill that quite a way up. I wouldn't recommend it because the vape will be absolute rubbish, and it will not leak, unless obviously you tip it upside down or lie on its side, then it'd leak. But yeah, so what we're going to do now, we're going to put a build on here. We're going to be using some 26 gauge cam foil and Japanese cotton, so I'll be back in a moment and we'll put a build on. Right, before we do the build, I forgot to give you some measurements. So it's 22mm wide, and with the included drip tip, it is 45mm tall. But I mean, you can obviously, if you wanted to, use a different drip tip. It's not set in stone that that's the one that you have to use. I mean, they are a little bit looser, other drip tips, but if you didn't like that design and you just wanted to have it wide open all the time and use your own drip tip, you could do that as well. So I just thought I'd give you the measurements, and then we're going to do a build. So for the build, we're going to be using some 26 gauge. So we've got 2 strands of 26 gauge, and as always, more than I'm ever going to need for the coils. I'm using 2 2.5mm screwdrivers, some self-clamping tweezers, some regular tweezers, some wire cutters, and then a torch. Obviously torching is optional, but it's what I like to do. And as always, use an ohm reader and make sure you're safe doing it. So the build itself, we're going to be doing 9 wraps of 26 gauge around a 2.5mm bit, and it is going to be a centre post build. So the way I do them is I have the screwdriver in my left hand facing to my right hand side, and I put the camfoil facing forwards at the underneath and wrap away from me. And we have 9 wraps. And what I do is just give both legs a pull, scrunch it down to the end of the screwdriver, and there we have 1 coil. I then take the squeezing tweezers, trap it in there, and give it a torch. Obviously, be careful where you're aiming your torch. Let it cool down, and then that's 1 coil. And once you've made both your coils, all we're going to do, we're just going to trim the legs a little bit, because obviously I had way too much camfoil. And then we're going to insert the coil. So because I'm going to try and centre post it, I'm going to have it where the screwdriver is coming in from the negative side, like so. And I'm going to go into the furthest positive away from me. I'm going to push in pretty much until you start to see the coil spreading, and then I'm going to take the screwdriver and push it in so that it bends the coil leg over. I hope that you can see that. There you go. And then I'm going to hold it right up to the posts, not the coil side, the edge of the screwdriver here, and I'm going to tighten down my posts. Now don't over tighten, especially with these little grub screws, because it will just cut through your wire. And then I'm going to see that one didn't catch. Now I'm going to keep it pushed in and pull out. To get my coil nicely centered. I'm just going to give these a snug down. As I say, don't over tighten them. And I'm going to trim off those leads. Now you want to get as close to the post as you can, especially with not having as much room to work in. And now we have one coil mounted. We'll just tidy it up in a moment. Now we'll do the same for the other side. Give them a trim off. Now your positive lead is obviously going to be a little more awkward, so what you might have to do is pull the coil back out so that you can get your cutters in and cut it off as flush as possible, and take your screwdriver and just readjust that coil. And then you'll end up with something like that. As you can see, they're centered and they're nice and neat, and that is a little bit low for this RDA. Maybe should have gone for 10 reps, but 0.38, that will change when we put some heat in the coils. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw it onto my mod. So this is the Skelly 150, and this is reading at 0.4, so I'm going to turn the wattage down. I'm going to pulse the coils, and then give them a squeeze. Obviously, don't be firing your mod while you're touching your coils. Turn the wattage up a little. And then once you've pulsed them a little bit, sorry, I just realised I was off camera, just double check that your connections are all nice and tight, because they can loosen off whilst being pulsed. getting a little bit of a hot spot there. And then they'll end up looking something like that. So you want them nice and even. I'm just going to let them cool. While that's cooling, I'm going to take some Japanese cotton sheet. And remember, as always with Japanese cotton, the lines of the cotton go down the pad, don't cut across, cut down the cotton. And we're just going to cut two strips, 4 or 5 mil wide. And we're just going to roll them up a little bit and just wet and twist one end. Should be nice and cool now. So just take it and we're just going to pull it through. Obviously you don't have to use Japanese cotton. Use whatever you prefer as your wicking material, whether it be organic, rayon. I mean, some people still like to use silica. But this is what I find works really nicely for me. And with it being small, a small build deck, you don't want to leave too much cotton either side, because you want to have plenty of room for your juice. I find that sufficient either side. All we're going to do is get under it with your pointed tweezers and push it under and in from the back, so that you're keeping the shape of the cotton as much as possible. And then I always fluff it back up on the sides, and again from the bottom, and poke it inwards, and then just position it. And with this RDA you want to leave a nice gap under your cotton and under your coil, because of how the airflow is on this. And it'll look a little something like that. So I'm going to just take some juice and give it a nice wetting up. And the juice I'm using is Vape Storm Subbone blend, and it's Cinnastorm, so it's a cinnamon based liquid. I'm just going to get that cotton nice and juiced up. And just leave it to soak for a second or so. And then just make sure you've got no bits of cotton overhanging anywhere. And nice vapor production. So then, as I say, you've got your oval shape which you want to be lining up. There we go. And the airflow holes then line up directly in front of your coils. So that's the build. We're going to go back up top now and we'll talk about it. Okay then guys, so that was the build and the up close. Sorry about the length of the video, I just wanted to, it's been quite a while since I've actually done a build on camera, so I just thought I'd do one for you guys out there who still watch the channel all the time. So it's now a 0.4 build, as you saw, and we're going to have a vape at 50 watts. And like I say, there's not a ton of vapour, but the flavour, as I said before, it's absolutely bang on. So yeah, I mean, the things that I don't like about it is the grub screws in the post. I think could have been a little bit bigger, or even just use posits. And you know, the airflow, where it comes through at the bottom of your chamber, with them both being slightly different sizes, means your coil, one of your coils is going to get slightly more air than the other. But overall, for the money that you're paying, it's a cracking little atomizer. You know, if you're one of the people like me, I always tend to over drip. So I'm not going to get it all shooting out any air holes. It's all sealed in there nicely. The quality overall on the device is really good. And I'm like I say, the fact that it's not just a clone that they've adapted and calling their own. They've actually thought about the design, thought about what people are going to want. As I say, it's not a cloud chasing RDA. It's nowhere near a cloud chasing RDA, but for people who just want that crisp, full flavour and a throat hit, then this is the one for you. I mean, wide open for me is airy enough, but if I start to close it off, it does get a bit warmer. I'm not a fan of a really hot or warm vape. But flavour's bang on. And I will just say about this device as well, the tolerances are really good with the O-rings, the oval on the deck to where you fit your outer chamber, where you fit your chamber. The tolerances is really good, so the deck and the stainless steel chamber, they line up really well. There's no play at all. So yeah, that's pretty much the SXK dripper. It's already been over a 30-minute video, so I'll leave it there. I hope you guys liked the video and I explained the features in a way that you guys can understand them. And I shall leave it there, and I'll see you again soon for another video. Thanks for watching.